Councillors, welcome. I'd like to begin today's meeting by acknowledging the traditional custodians on the land in which we are gathered and pay our respects to elders past, present and emerging. Welcome to the Ordinary Council meeting of 8th of December 2021. I declare this meeting at 10 a.m. I would like to advise meeting attendees this meeting is being webcast and audio recorded. So, gallery, can you please be upstanding and join me for a moment of contemplation? And patience. Christmas is a time for us to reflect and spend quality time with family.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, could you just pop your microphone on? We can't quite hear you.
Okay, we'll do it over here. Excuse me while I sit. It's hard to believe that we're in the final month of 2021, a year that has taught us so much resilience, flexibility and patience. Christmas is a time for us to reflect and spend quality time with family and loved ones, something that we no doubt be embraced by all after another year of uncertainties. I hope for many Christmases this year is a time to be reunited with family and loved ones, and they may not have for some time. Valuing friends, family and good health is what really matters at Christmas, and I encourage you to all appreciate the small moments. I know when I reflect on 2021, I'm proud of our city and the way we have navigated the challenges. The COVID-19 pandemic has thrown us a few curveballs, but we have remained calm and we have stayed the course, protecting ourselves and each other. This isn't the first hurdle we've faced, and once again, we've worked together as a community and supported each other. It's times like this, and I'm exceptionally proud to represent the city. A special thank you to my fellow councillors and staff of Logan City Council. You have adapted at short notice to an uncertain and changing environment. I have appreciated your advice, support and good humour throughout the year. I'm looking forward with optimism to 2021 and all that holds for the City of Logan. As a city, we've set ourselves some big goals for the next 12 months. None more so than becoming carbon neutral by the end of 2022. In doing so, we are safeguarding the City of Logan's future. I'm passionate about reducing our carbon footprint. The measures we implement now will benefit our city for generations to come. On behalf of Logan Council and my fellow councillors, I wish you and your loved ones a Merry Christmas and a happy and prosperous New Year. I look forward to seeing many of you in the community in lead up to Christmas and over the break. Thank you, councillors. You may sit. Leave of absence. Do any councillors have a leave of absence to declare? Now, we've got a leave of absence for Mr. Councillor Bannon. Unfortunately, it's a training day today. So can we have a motion to accept leave of absence for Councillor Bannon? Councillor Wilcox has put the I'll move the motion. Councillor Wilcox has seconded the motion. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously, therefore it's been carried. Councillors, I now refer to condolences. Do any councillors have a condolence to raise? Councillor Lane.
Thanks very much, Mr. Mayor. I rise to speak and offer my condolences to the family of a former council worker and active community member, Robert James Morris of Marsden. Mr. Morris passed away late last week after a lengthy battle against a rotten disease that is dementia. He was aged 74. Bob was a security guard here at council for almost 20 years. He was well known by staff and community members and always had a kind word to say to everybody. He loved his job here and he was very proud to work for the council and was sorry when retirement came about. Bob had a tough life, but he was a loving husband to his wife Lynn, and I remember them always rock and roll dancing the night away at whatever event was on at the time. He was a great father to his boys Robert and Colin and coached their football teams throughout their young lives. But his most gentle moments that I saw as a child was when he watched his daughter Lisa dance. His pride in his daughter was amazing and he would light up talking about her achievements. He was a proud and awesome granddad to his numerous grandchildren. I knew Bob, or as I called him until recently, Mr. Morris, for almost my entire life. He was a second parent to just about every kid who ever played at South Woodridge Rugby League Football Club back in the 70s and 80s. He made sure some of the most vulnerable kids in our community were looked after and had a hand in raising quite a few kids. His door was always open, his fridge was always full and stocked with food. He offered a kind word and a pat on the shoulder for kids who were struggling with their own issues. The world was a better place for having Bob Morris in it. As his dementia progressed, he had moments that allowed him to still communicate. I would go to the Logan Central Respite Centre and see him there, and he'd walk up and look me in the eye and say, "You're the naughty one." And I knew in those moments that he was still stuck there behind that wall that is dementia. For anyone from council or indeed the wider community who would like to pay their respects, Bob's funeral is on this Friday at 10 a.m. at New Haven at Stapleton. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. Councillor Roven.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Before I move into my condolences, I just want to say that I knew Bob for about 5 years. He was a great bloke and a bit of a character. Whenever I door knocked him, he insisted that I have to come in and have a beer, and his attire for that occasion was his DTs. Now, I'll say that I didn't participate in that particular dress code, but he insisted that if he was going to have a serious conversation, he was going to do it in his togs. So he was a great bloke, and we always had long yarns, and he was dearly missed by his neighbours and by the Marsden community. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to ask that condolences be forwarded to the Wilkinson family on the passing of Diane Wilkinson on November 5th. Waterford West lost a wonderfully warm and caring member of our community. For the past 40 years, Marsden Library has been part of the life of the Wilkinson family. From the time the library was just a demountable building at the current Rose Garden site through to its move to the Marsden Park Shopping Centre, where it's finally had its home now at 35 Chambers Flat Road. When her grandkids were little, Diane would help with library programs ranging from children's reading programs to assisting young people with school holiday activities. And in 1997, Diane and her husband Graham officially signed up as volunteers with the Logan City Council Library's home library service, delivering books and other library materials to those unable to get to the library themselves. Diane also volunteered her time as an adult literacy tutor, helping new migrants settle into the community by improving their English language skills. This year would have marked Diane's 24th year of volunteer service with the Logan City Council Libraries. She's a legend in the local community, and we're so much worse off for not having her with us anymore. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Roven. Any other councillors? Yes, Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, I request you pass on condolences to the Kremen family who recently lost their father, grandfather and great-grandfather Neil Kremen. For most of his life, Neil and his wife Judy were residents in the Brisbane City Council area. However, when they decided it was time to sell the family home due to old age, Neil and Judy moved to St Paul de Chartres Retirement Home in Boronia Heights. Judy sadly passed away in 2016 and Neil was devastated to lose the love of his life. My first meeting with Neil was on the campaign trail when one of his daughters, Adrian, whom I've known for a number of years, set up a meeting to introduce us. I met Neil at his retirement villa and he was very keen to hear about my past history and how I proposed to improve things if I won the election for Division 7 in Logan City Council. Neil was very encouraging and supportive of my decision to run for council. After I was sworn in, we continued to stay in touch and occasionally call one another for a quick chat about local issues and projects. One of Neil's passions was getting a crossing point installed out the front of the retirement home to assist elderly residents to be able to safely cross the road to the bus stop. This project took a lot of work, but fortunately it was approved and I was able to visit with Neil in his final days and share this news with him. Neil was happy to hear that this work would be undertaken. This was very important to him, even though he knew he would not use the crossing himself. Neil was a strong advocate for his community and it was typical of him to seek out projects that would enhance the lives of his fellow residents. Neil shall be remembered as a selfless, kind and caring gentleman and now he can rest in peace with his wife Judy at his side. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Fraser. Any other councillors? Okay, well, I've got one. On behalf of my councillor colleagues and staff from the former Beaudesert Shire, I would like to pass on my condolences to the Drescher family after the passing of the former Mayor of Beaudesert Shire, Joy Drescher, last Sunday. The former Mayor has a long history in local government and was involved in 11 Beaudesert and Scenic Rim local government elections, winning 3 as a councillor and 2 as a Mayor. She was a well-known and beloved leader in the community, working over the years with Rotary, Beaudesert Bush Bards, and even working as a correspondent for the Beaudesert Times community newspapers. For those that knew her, she was a colourful and good-humoured character who had her head on, who held her head high and high spirit high until the end. Our thoughts are with her husband Doug and of the Joy family. I've got to say that Joy was a very colourful character. I knew her personally, and I can tell you now, she gave as good as what she got. And she surprised a lot of the men folk, particularly in the National Party. And she was always in the headlines, but I tell you what, life was very interesting when Joy was around. So it is sad that unfortunately Joy's not with us anymore, and I don't think she was very old. But she'll be sadly missed by people in their community. So thank you very much for that. Okay, now we'll get to the good part, congratulations. We have one, yep. Oh, sorry, yep. Okay, so we'll now observe a minute of reflection in honour of those who have gone before us and support of those who have left behind. Thank you, councillors. Okay, councillors, we have congratulation reports to consider. I now refer to item 6.1. Before we can open discussion on this item, do any councillors have a conflict of interest? No conflicts. I'd like to acknowledge a long list of awards and award recipients today from the Economic Development and Strategy branch, the Environment, Health and Waste branch, and the Parks branch, and the Community Engagement Program. Impressively, the Logan Village Place to Play project won not only the Community Engagement Award at the Planning Institute of Australia, Queensland 2021 Excellent Awards, it also won the overall project award across all categories. The project was acknowledged for displaying the very best in planning practices and excellence in demonstrating the role, values and importance of planning for people's lives. I would like to acknowledge the following names: Jennifer Niels, Ella Duplessis, Ashley Carey, Candy Rosman and Erin Searle. I'd also like to acknowledge the work of the Logan Village Advisory Group and the ongoing support Councillor Crancy in achieving these outcomes. Next up, an issue that I'm particularly passionate about, I would like to acknowledge the Council receiving a Commendation Award, also as part of the Planning Institute of Australia, Queensland 2021 Excellent Awards for Council's Climate Resilience Framework. This framework includes our solar projects and installations, carbon reduction projects, the climate resilience strategy, and also Council's role in leading the South East Queensland Climate Resilience Alliance. I'd like to acknowledge the following staff who have worked hard in making Council's vision of a green city a reality. The following people: Brendan Ling, Leanne Viage, John Mabb, Brett Rogers, Katie Everett, Nasheem Hanif, Rodney Adam, Trevor Canepi and Michael Asnakar. And lastly, I'd like to congratulate those involved in securing the National Landscape Architecture Award for the Logan Central Civil and Community precinct plan. The judges acknowledged the precinct plan for best practice in research and engagement with the community, place activation, promoting sustainability and creating green networks. So the congratulations go out to the following people: Melissa Cook, Dean Arnold and Ella Duplessis. I'd like also to acknowledge Councillor Lane for bringing her vision to the project. Is there now a mover for the report's motion as displayed on the screen? Councillor Karansky has moved the motion. There is a seconder. Councillor Raven has seconded the motion. I now put the matter to the floor to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Therefore, the motion has been carried. Well, geez, I'll tell you what, that's great. Last meeting of the year and have all those awards. That's fantastic. Okay, now I open the floor to congratulation requests from the councillors. We'll start off with Division 1.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I haven't actually put in a formal congratulations, but could congratulations please be passed on to the staff via the acting CEO, please. The events staff for the Logan Sports Awards. That would have to have been the best sports awards I've ever attended in the time I've been a councillor. It looked absolutely spectacular. You felt like you were a star as you're walking in. And I think everyone felt that. So if that could be passed on, that would be wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. Councillor Lane.
Thanks very much, Mr. Mayor. Congratulations to the winners of the Safe City Awards for their commitment to local residents in the areas of community safety. In the volunteer category, it was a 1-2 effort from Division 2 with Abdul Khan from Logan Roos taking out the top gong and the Logan Brothers Rugby League Old Boys Association following a close second place. In the not-for-profit category, Division 2's Access Community Services Program, 99 Steps, was successful against Crestmead PCYC's team. Sorry about that, Councillor Raven and Councillor Heremiah. The Government Award was taken out by the amazing team from Logan Central Police District Command, who was successful with the tyre deflation device project, Detective Senior Constable Amanda McLeod for her work with domestic violence victims, and the Logan Youth Co-Responder team. And just to be extra cheeky, Mr. Mayor, I'll claim the Stan Wells Award winner, Kat Bartolo, despite her office being 20 metres outside of my division. Kat goes above and beyond to achieve outstanding safety benefits for my division and so many others across our community, the wider community of Logan. We offer a big thanks to her and many thanks to our City Lifestyle Chair, Councillor Karansky, and her community safety team led by Julie Campbell for putting this together. Thanks very much, Director Katie Barton-Harvey, for ensuring that this process goes forward. Community safety is not something to be mucked around with, so if you could pass congratulations, that would be great, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. Councillor Russell.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. On the border of Divisions 2 and 3, Councillor Theresa Lane and I, shout out, we joined in the fun on Saturday at the Congo Cultural Day. At such an exhausting time of the year, I walked in vowing just a short visit. Well, 5.5 hours later, I was still there partying with the Congolese community. Mr. Mayor, I request that congratulations please be sent to the Congolese community of Queensland. I thank them for the opportunity to learn about their country and cultural groups, cuisine, music and dances, which I have been told that I'm pretty good at. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Russell. Councillor Karansky.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like congratulations forwarded to Gail Kerr, who after 28 years is leaving Access Community Services. Just a little history to share with my colleagues. Gail first joined Access in 1994 and was appointed CEO in 2006. Under her leadership, Access has grown from a one-room youth employment service into one of Australia's leading organisations in the provision of settlement employment, training, youth support, housing and social enterprise services for migrants and refugees. Today, Access is one of Logan's largest non-profit organisations. Gail's also played a pivotal role in forming strategic partnerships and alliances, including being part of Council's hugely successful City of Choice initiatives and the Mayor's Charity Trust. She was an integral partner in establishing the Logan Refugee Health Clinic and has lent her support to a diverse range of social and business enterprises, including helping establish the Yarrabilba Jobs Exchange. Mr. Mayor, I'd like to formally acknowledge Gail's contribution to the City of Logan and to wish her every future success in any endeavour that she takes up next.
Thank you, Councillor Grainsey. That will be done. Councillor Raven? Councillor Hall?
Look, Mr. Mayor, I don't need to thank any particular person, but rather Queensland TAFE at Logan Lee held a fantastic celebration yesterday, and it was just amazing to see all the diverse cultures come together and celebrate the Christmas season together, and each member of student body put on a different cultural act, which they presented to their classmates. It was just amazing to see all the different colours and varieties of entertainment, but it was great to see that we could all come together and enjoy Christmas together.
Thank you, Councillor Hall. We'll do that. Councillor Fraser? Councillor Hirmine? No. Councillor Stemp?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, on behalf of Councillor Bannon, who can't be here today, I would like to ask that official congratulations be passed on to David Hanson, Dave Radich, Ella Duplessis, Olga Wilkinson, Johnny Pong and Rebecca Roberts for their amazing work to support on delivering our first end-all DV bench in Jimboomba Rotary Park. Mr. Mayor, I'd also like to ask that congratulations please be passed on to Deborah Crone, who was recently recognised with the highest honour of life membership of the Logan Basketball Association. Deborah has been an integral part of Logan Basketball since the association was founded in 1998, holding various roles in her 23 years of service. On behalf of the community, I would like to thank Deborah for her outstanding service and dedication to Logan Basketball over so many years. Thank you.
That will be done, Councillor Stemp, and I've got to say that Deborah Crone has done a magnificent job for Logan Basketball. I was at Queensland Basketball Awards when her name went up on the screen, and I was very pleased to see that because I know how hard she's worked. Councillor Wilcox.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And firstly, I must start with an apology because I was meant to do this one last round, but I left it sitting on my desk, and as soon as I got back to my office, I realised, and it's very remiss of me to do this, because this one actually goes out to Alicia Perrins. So my former assistant, who is now very proudly on maternity leave, Mick and Alicia had a baby boy, Reese, who was born on the 30th of October, just in time for Halloween. He arrived safely, Mum and Bub are doing well, the three of them are settling into their new little life together, and I'm so pleased to say that I've met him twice and he's a gorgeous little bundle of joy. So congratulations to both of you, and I'm so sorry that I forgot it last round. I do have one more, and I would like just to thanks to Simon Malouf and his team. So Darryl, if you could please pass your thanks on to the team for the community info session that was held 2 weeks ago at the Greenbank Community Centre in the Currong Rooms. They held an event there to inform the community about the Teviot Road widening project and about the Teviot Road roundabout, stages 1, 2 and 3. It was well received by the community as a whole, but I can say they are very eagerly waiting for the next community info session, which should happen around March next year with the Greenbank Planning Transport Study. Everything then will make sense to the community. So please pass your thanks on. They were very well versed. The staff were excellent on the day and that sort of thing. So please pass my thanks on, and thanks to the community for actually turning up. It was a really well received turnout, and I can't wait for the next one. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. I'm sure that'll go out. No, Councillor Murphy? No? Okay. Okay, councillors. We now have the confirmation of the minutes of the previous special council meeting. I note that there are 2 previous special council meeting minutes for confirmation. I now refer to the minutes of the first previous special council meeting. I move that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 17th of November 2021 be confirmed. Is there a mover? Councillor Raven has moved. Is there a seconder? Councillor Bradley has seconded the motion. Now open the floor to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously, therefore the motion has been carried. I now refer to the minutes of the second previous special council meeting. I move that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 29th of November 2021 be confirmed. Is there a seconder for the motion? Councillor Raven has seconded the motion. Does anyone wish to speak to the motion? No one wishes to speak to the motion. I now open the floor to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously, therefore the motion has been carried. Business arising from minutes, we have no business.
Point of order, Mr Mayor, you've got one more set of minutes to get
Sorry?
endorsed.
Ah,
You missed the 17th of November special council meeting, Mr Mayor. Because
I haven't got it on my... Okay,
we just did the 29th and I believe
Okay,
we did the
yep.
ordinary council meeting, so we're just missing.
I've turned the page. I now refer to the minutes of the previous ordinary council meeting. I move that the minutes of the ordinary council meeting held on the 10th of November 2021 be confirmed. Is there a seconder to the motion? Councillor Raven has seconded the motion. Does anyone wish to speak to the motion? No one wish to speak to the motion. Now open the floor to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously, therefore the motion has been carried. So we now have the special council meeting held on the 17th of November 2021. I know there are two... No, we've already done that. We've moved three. There was the two and the original, so we've already done that. Okay, so we now go to... We've done them all. So now we'll go to business arising. We have no business arising from the minutes to consider. So we'll now go to the committee recommendations. We'll go to the City Planning, Economic Development and Environment Committee. I'll now refer to the City Planning and Economic Development and Environment Committee meeting held on the 30th of November 2021. Councillor Raven, Chairperson of the City Planning, Economic Development and Environment Committee, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Before we move into discussion, do any councillors have any new conflicts of interest they'd like to declare at this time? There being none, I'll plough in. I note that there is a proposed amendment to item 5.1 titled Council's Response to the Senate Committee Report on Inland Rail. This motion was deferred to this meeting, Mr Mayor, from committee for further consideration. There's been a circulated amended motion that's been presented to councillors today that I believe Councillor Wilcox wishes to speak to. There's also a first and second proposed amendment in the minutes that councillors can refer back to. With your indulgence, Mr Mayor, as there is councillor sponsorship for the amended motion that's been circulated, I'll start with that one and open the floor to councillors who may wish to speak to that.
Okay, that has been circulated. So I ask, do any councillors wish to speak? Yes, Councillor Wilcox.
Thank you. So I've circulated or foreshadowed another amended motion for you all this morning. We all know, sitting in this room, Acacia Ridge is not viable. Both governments need to look for an alternative. We know that Acacia Ridge can't support the freight on trucks, leaving it. The road infrastructure is simply not there. And we note that the Mayor actually just spoke about our carbon emissions and the award for our climate resilience. If we bring coal through the city, how are those awards going to keep coming? How are we going to keep up with that? I do not support inland rail coming through the suburbs of Division 11 or Logan City. My residents don't want to see inland rail coming through and terminating at Acacia Ridge when it's not viable. As a taxpayer, I don't want to see it either. As detailed in the Senate report and the report of the Director of Innovation and City Transformation dated 30th of November, both of them refer to the Acacia Ridge Terminal being unfeasible. The Senate report, which is 190 odd pages long, which I've read, also states in there that the location in Brisbane are yet to be determined, especially the original location of Acacia Ridge, formed on the basis of the 2015 business case, and the construction of Inland Rail project has already commenced. It is a failure of the Australian and Queensland governments. The Senate report goes that far. I ask for my fellow councillors to support me in the amended motion that we have on the screen now, so that we can say to the federal and the state governments that Acacia Ridge is not a viable terminus for inland rail, and we don't want to see it railroaded through our division and through our city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. Councillor Fraser.
Just unplug myself or not. Still worked. So thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I too do not support inland rail going through Logan. Division 7 residents are definitely going to be affected by this if there is an increase in train movements. And as it is, I've heard that many residents are not happy with the current movements either. It does affect them quite a lot, and an increase in this would not be good for their lifestyle, particularly those who have purchased a place and they've been there for many, many years, and to increase the noise, dust, pollution is not going to be good for them. So yes, I do ask my fellow councillors to support this amended motion too. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fraser. Councillor Bradley?
Mr. Mayor, is it possible to see what the original recommendation was? Because I don't actually have it apart from an email.
You'll have it in your report.
No, I don't.
Should have been in the original report.
In the original report, no.
Yeah, so you should have your business papers with you.
There was a recommendation that was emailed to us.
Well,
I just want to
I
compare.
mean, the original report in the committee was obviously debated and not accepted, so it's...
Don't worry, I've got it here now.
So we'll just, yep, Councillor Raven?
Mr. Mayor, well, Councillor Bradley familiarises herself with the recommendation from staff, which is very similar to this one for the benefit of those at home. This motion was essentially prioritised the language around opposing the construction of the Kangaroo to Acacia Ridge component of the K2ARB project, and made it clear that Council does not regard that Acacia Ridge is a viable terminus. So we don't think that Acacia Ridge can take the trains purely because it doesn't have the road infrastructure around it. To be honest, Bromilton at the moment doesn't either. So if that was going to be a terminus for inland rail, we would need to see upgrades to Mount Lindsay Highway. We potentially need to see the Southern Gateway extension constructed as well, which would actually have benefits for our city, our residents and our economy. So I think this is a very well proposed motion by Councillor Wilcox, and I applaud her for bringing it to Council today and thank her for her diligence in the background. She's been working very hard on this last week to bring something forward that was strong enough to send a message to the federal government that we will not accept this in our city, but still gives consideration for what the residents want as far as making sure that they are engaged with in an open, transparent and rigorous way.
I concur with Councillor Raven. It's interesting that the federal government have different visions on this, and as you're probably aware, even the Lord Mayor has a different vision on this, who is also part of the same political party that's in federal office. My concern with Acacia Ridge is if it does go to Acacia Ridge, how do you get everything to the port? You know, it's going to open up everything right through the city of Brisbane. It's going to make an absolute mess of our roads. If you're going to do something properly on a big project like this, then you've got to either tunnel it to the ports, or you take it up to Gladstone, which have got deeper ports. We can have deeper ships, bigger ships. I spoke to the federal member for Ford, Mr. Bert Van Manen. He suggested that he believes that the only way to go is to take it up to Gladstone. So why would you go through Brisbane? Yeah, Gladstone can take the bigger ships. Apparently the port of Brisbane is not that deep, and everything can be then sent off from there. To take it through Logan is an absolute ridiculous situation, and I think we have to hold the line and support both Councillor Fraser and Councillor Wilcox on this. We're not letting go of the situation that what they're proposing is absolutely stupidity, and I support the recommendation here. So what we'll do now is we'll put the matter to the vote. Is there any, do we call for a conflict of interest on this? I don't believe we have. So what we'll do is, as you can see, you see the amendment to item 5.1 on the board. Do I have a mover for the motion? Councillor Wilcox has moved the motion. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Lane, Councillor Fraser has seconded the motion. I'll now put the matter to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That has not been carried unanimously. The only person that didn't vote for that was Councillor Hirameyer. How do you vote on this, Councillor Hirameyer?
Against.
Against, so that will be recorded. So, Councillor Raven, I'll hand it back to you.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll now speak to the remainder of the recommendations excluding item 5.1. Mr Mayor, it was a great committee last Tuesday and I want to thank my council colleagues for their contributions. The item that got the most attention was the e-mobility trial where Being Scooters are proposing that in a small section of the city that they'll roll out a trial with their scooter technology for hire. I note that every councillor, excluding Councillor Bannon, spoke on this item and there was a lot of passion about it and a lot of different positions. It's exciting to see that we're going to take the plunge on this and see how the community responds to these opportunities and hope that Beam can live up to the safety standard that they've had so far and deliver some great outcomes for people wanting to do that last 10% of travel, Mr Mayor, from the public transport we've got to their final destination. I have no other comments, Mr Mayor. I open the floor to my colleagues.
Thank you, Councillor Raven. Do any other councillors wish to speak? No? Thank you. There being no further speakers, Councillor Raven, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I now move that that the minutes of the City Planning, Economic Development and Environment Committee meeting held on the 30th of November 2021 be confirmed and that the recommendations of the City Planning, Economic Development and Environment Committee meeting held on the 30th of November 2021 with the exception of item 5.1 be adopted.
Thank you. Councillor Raven has moved the motion. There is a seconder to the motion. Councillor Stamp has seconded the motion. I now put it on the floor to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That has been carried unanimously. Therefore, the motion has been carried. We'll now go to the City Infrastructure Committee. I now refer to the City Infrastructure Committee.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, I just want to have my name put against 4.1, please.
Okay, that will be recorded. Any other councillors? No? Okay. Councillors, I now refer to the City Infrastructure Committee meeting held on the 30th of November 2021. Councillor Lane, Chairperson of the City Infrastructure Committee, you may proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr Mayor. Before we move into discussion, do any councillors have any new conflicts of interest that occur on any of the items? Please advise the item number at this stage only. There being none, before I speak to the recommendations, Mr Mayor, I'd actually just like, with your indulgence, just to say a few words. In a year of uncertainty, there are two things that are being guaranteed by Logan City Council. Well, there's more than two, but in my area, two things. Exemplary service to the community and a dedication to local residents that is unmatched anywhere else in any local government area as far as I'm concerned. As the chair of the City Infrastructure Committee, I've had the pleasure of standing and talking about the amazing work our team does for the city, from planning new roads, new wastewater treatment plants, pipe and road repairs, upgrades to community consultation on local projects. Both the water and roads team do their best, sometimes in very challenging and stressful circumstances. Now, all of this work is overseen by our Acting Director, Darryl Riley, and we thank him for his hard work this year. To the Road and Infrastructure Planning Manager, Mr Kamal Ranawira, and his team, I say thank you for your work in planning our city's future roads and updating our existing ones. This includes my Division 2 traffic officers, Carl Bayer and Masood and Ethan, who work on local traffic safety options for our community here in Division 2. Carl and his team have been responsible for line marking on Welbeck Street, Margaret Street, Sylvania Street, Pamela Crescent, upcoming works on Camellia Avenue, Valorum Drive, Barton Road, Lachlan Street, Polaris Avenue and Dewars Road. These investigations and subsequent actions have meant our local streets are safer, and I thank them for listening to mine and the community's ideas and feedback. For Mr Simon Malouf and his road infrastructure delivery team, I say thanks for your diligence in trying to better communicate with local residents, as we heard from Councillor Wilcox earlier. It's great to hear positive feedback from our councillors about your team's efforts to get the best outcomes, often in tense times. You're delivering roads that keep locals moving. Mr Stephen Bell and his team at the Roads Construction and Maintenance Depot, many thanks for your hard work throughout the year implementing road safety works, fixing endless potholes from this ongoing rain, resealing roads and completing school parking upgrades. For those listening at home, the RCM crew have had some tough times this year, and some of the crews have been subject to some pretty abusive commentary as they go about their jobs. I just wanted to give everyone in the roads area a big shout out. You all do a cracking job and no one deserves to be abused in their workplace. Most of our crew are local residents, local ratepayers, doing their jobs proudly in their community to make life better and safer for us. They don't deserve sledges, and they certainly don't deserve some of the misguided rage they've seen from motorists this year. The PG version for the community is suck it up, princess. If you're stuck in traffic because a roads crew is filling a pothole or resurfacing a road, don't abuse the people fixing the roads. Give them a wave of thanks instead, because for a few days of delays, it will mean months of smooth sailing in the future. Think big, it isn't hard. The other branch of the infrastructure we have is our water business, which has seen some pretty innovative and amazing people working there. I've had to do a few media chats this year as a result of their dedication to the people of Logan. Mike Basterfield, Ben Steele, Mark Vaughan, Dave Callaway, Howard Witten lead a team of dedicated professionals whose work also positively impacts local residents each and every day. Water to your home, sewage out of your home. It's not rocket science, they do a great job, and if you flush and it works, that's a great outcome. Getting water to your house isn't as simple as people turning on the tap without the water crew to maintain the pipes. Flush them out when it's needed, repair water mains, replace water meters, loud hail residents when emergencies come up, and get the job done quickly and efficiently. I'll say that again, get the job done quickly and efficiently. They do a cracking job at it. There isn't a week go by when I don't receive information from Kate Thomas, Tanya Keelan or Kirsten Howell advising me of local works being undertaken by the roads or water crews. Our Division 2 has infrastructure that is 60 plus years old, Mr Mayor, and these wonderful people make sure it works for us each and every day. I say Merry Christmas to the branches and many thanks to the crews working on call over the Christmas holidays. Your work really is greatly appreciated by the larger community. Now, on to this, and I'll keep talking. I have no talk.
You just said a few words.
I know, but you know me, give me an inch and I'll take a mile. So, do any councillors wish to speak on the recommendations of the Infrastructure Committee meeting?
So Councillor
that was
Lane,
your
you're
bit.
finished, so I'll ask, do any other councillors have any discussions on any of the matters in this report? No, I'll hand it back to you, Councillor.
It's my aspirational thing, Mr Mayor. No, I'm just kidding. I would want your job for the tea in China. Thank you, Mr Mayor. I now move that the minutes of the City Infrastructure Committee meeting held on 30 November 2021 be confirmed, and that the recommendations of the City Infrastructure Committee meeting held on the 30th of November 2021 be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. Councillor Lane has moved the motion. Do I have a second to the motion? Councillor Fraser has seconded the motion. I now put the matter to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That has been carried unanimously. Therefore, the motion has been carried, and I concur with you, Councillor Lane. Our officers do a wonderful job, and I think it was last week I had a bit of an argument with Steve Austin from ABC Radio, and I put it to him that our roads are a lot better than Brisbane's. So I don't think he actually backed down a little bit and said that he'd been out in Brisbane and our roads were well maintained. So, councillors, we now go to City Lifestyle Committee. Now refer to the City Lifestyle Committee meeting held on the 1st of December 2021. Councillor Karansky, Chairperson of the City Lifestyle Committee, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Before we move into discussions, do any councillors have any new conflicts of interest they wish to declare on any items? There being none, Mr Mayor, with your indulgence, being the last meeting of the year, I too would like to share some thoughts. At our last council meeting in 2021, it is my great pleasure to look back at the outstanding community outcomes achieved through the City Lifestyle Committee. 2021 continued to present challenges due to COVID-19 and particularly our outward-facing community services areas. Despite periods of lockdown and restrictions, our sports, leisure and facilities, parks, libraries and creative industry teams managed changes in restrictions to keep our community safe, all while maintaining business as usual operations. Park usage increased during the time as people were using the parks to get out of the house, be in nature and undertake exercise, and our library's borrowing rates shot up. The Logan Entertainment Centre, Mount Warren Sports Centre and Yarrabilba Community Centre became vaccination hubs for Queensland Health, and I acknowledge all of the community groups who were displaced during this time and thank them for their patience. Our community venues, including our libraries and the Logan Art Gallery, continue to provide wonderful experiences for residents through the delivery of services. Every 3 months, our housebound home library service clients receive a call from a home library service officer from one of Council's 9 libraries to check on their welfare and to discuss which items they'd like to see in their next delivery. As a council, we've continued to support diversity and inclusion initiatives such as the Reconciliation Action Plan and Access and Inclusion Plan. Our Hooning Task Force, thank you Councillor Jeremiah and his colleagues, has achieved some great outcomes for our community. The delivery of other much-loved programs, including Live Well Logan, Crank School holiday programs, and Swim Logan, continue to be a priority for the community services team. Particularly as an area councillor, I'm very excited that we broke ground on the Buzz at Yarrabilba, and we've seen the Queen's Road City Standards and Animal Care Depot emerge out of the ground, and I know that Councillor Lane is particularly excited about that one. A major project this year and ongoing into 2022 for the libraries team is the Library Management System, LMS, renewal. Customer expectations for a modern library service are high and can be driven by experiences with other service industries. The LMS renewal will ensure that Logan City Council libraries remain innovative and responsive in meeting resident needs and demands. And I know that Councillor Wilcox is particularly excited about the new library opening hours for Beenleigh, Logan Village, Jindoomba and Greenbank libraries, and these have been very well received by the public. Councillors, as part of the budget process this year, we endorsed a significant community projects and initiatives, including a $20 million community facilities program-based budget, which will deliver great outcomes for our community and is a first and bold move for this council. Numerous projects in our city's parks and sporting clubs are being enjoyed by residents, including the Cronulla Park PCYC, which I believe Councillor Russell will be attending for the opening on Friday. Funding for major community infrastructure projects were identified and secured, including $6.57 million in COVID works for Queensland for the Queensland Butter Factory redevelopment and over $11 million in local roads and community infrastructure funding that has assisted with projects such as Rosier Park. Council's media team delivered and coordinated a full suite of media and communication materials for the city's first $1 billion budget. A media highlight was when our friends from ABC 612 held an all-day broadcast starting in Logan Village with the Brekkie Show and the afternoon drive show being broadcast from Logan North Library. Throughout the year, the media team worked to ensure Queensland Health's COVID-19 messages were conveyed to our residents. Ourlogan.com.au is now live, giving our city a proud online presence with a bold and impressive presentation of what makes the City of Logan the wonderful place that it is. Our new corporate brand rollout and Proud City campaign, of which I know you're an enormous fan, Mr. Mayor, has been very well received. And finally, our customer experience and community engagement team have been award-winning and continue to work hard to support the community. The highlight during committee meetings was my fellow councillors' passion in advocating for these tremendous outcomes for the respective communities they represent. And I'd like to thank each and every one of you for your passion and your dedication to your residents. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank Director Katie Barton-Harvey and acknowledge all of the council officers who've worked so very, very hard over the past year. Their dedication in delivering great outcomes for the City of Logan is appreciated, and we look forward to what we can achieve together in 2022. Thank you. Thank you for your indulgence, Mr. Mayor. Thank you,
Councillor Kornatsky. Any other councillors wish to discuss any of the other agenda items? Councillor Hall.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. On the 3rd of December, myself and Councillor Tim Fraser had an opportunity to visit one of our local libraries in his division for the International Day of People with Disability. And at our time at the library, we got to see some of the amazing services that council provides to the residents of Logan. And they're amazing services. And, you know, what we've learned is our libraries are open for everyone. They're accessible to everyone. And it doesn't matter if you're in a wheelchair or you're unable to speak. There's a service there that can help you. And I think that's amazing. That's amazing for a city to have because it means that it creates a level of accessibility to the rest of the world for someone like that. We had an opportunity to meet an amazing person who was a young people's liaisons officer who was teaching a little bit of Auslan to the younger generation of Logan. And, you know, me and Tim had the opportunity to learn, what was it, hello, welcome to the library.
Well done.
And it was great. So, look, I encourage all Logan residents to pop into one of our libraries and take a visit. You might be surprised what you find. There's a couple of books that I was looking for that I found, and Tim showed me a couple of boring books as well. Thank you.
Any other speakers? No other speakers? I'll hand it back to you, Councillor Kornatsky.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and I'd also just like to acknowledge Councillor Hall as Deputy Chair for the City Lifestyle Committee and also thank him for his dedication over the past year and also for representing the community proudly. Mr Mayor, I now move that the minutes of the City Lifestyle Committee meeting held on the 1st of December be confirmed and that the recommendations of the City Lifestyle Committee meeting on the 1st of December be adopted.
Thank you, Councillor Karansky. Councillor Karansky has moved the motion. Councillor Hall has seconded the motion. I now put the matter to the floor to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Therefore, the motion has been carried. Any councillors wish to record any just no? Okay, we'll keep moving. We'll get to the City Governance Committee. I now refer to the City Governance Committee meeting held on the 1st of December 2021. Councillor Wilcox, Chairperson of the City Governance Committee, you may proceed.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and I note that Councillor Murphy declared a declarable conflict of interest on item 6.3 of the City Governance Committee, in which she voluntarily left the meeting. Accordingly, I will now invite her to leave the meeting until this matter has been voted on. 6.1, apologies. The meeting girls can amend that. Thank you. Now, before we move into discussion, do any other councillors have any new conflicts of interest to declare on any of the items? No? All right. There being none, I note that there is a proposed amendment to item, is it 6.1, not 6.3?
So 6.3 was the one that Councillor Murphy had a conflict on because that was a specific vote for...
The determination of the Community Benefit Fund.
Correct. And 6.1 is the review that you're speaking to now, Councillor Wilcox.
No,
Community Benefit Fund review that was amended through community process?
No, I'm speaking to 6.3, the determination of the Community Benefit Fund.
Okay, councillors, we'll go through the chair. So, would you like to discuss this, Councillor Raven?
No, Mr Mayor, sorry, my apologies.
Okay, we'll just, I'll give the chair a couple of minutes to sort herself out.
That's okay, it is 6.3.
Are you right,
Apologies.
Councillor
Yeah,
Wilcox?
it is
Okay.
6.3, sorry. A proposed amendment is now on the screen that will be that the funding for the Sewing for Charity Australia be approved. I will take a moment to pause so that you can all read the motion that's on the screen.
Okay. You're going to move the motion?
Yep, I will now move the motion for 6.3 as it's displayed on the screen to be adopted.
Okay, so Councillor Wilcox has moved the motion. I'll ask for a seconder. Councillor Lane has seconded the motion. Now put the matter to the floor to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hand. That has been carried unanimously. Therefore, the motion has been carried. You want to continue, Councillor Wilcox?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I'll just wait for Councillor Murphy to pop back in before I continue. Thank you. And I just briefly wanted to speak to governance, not specifically the last round, but I wanted to speak in regards to the whole of the governance branch. And I do have a few thank yous. And I really would like to thank the staff from the governance branch, especially Mr Strachan, Ms Bugg, Ms Sullivan, Ms McDonald. And together with Councillor Murphy as my Deputy Chair, we've had regular contact with the staff regarding anything to do with the branch, any meetings coming up or anything like that. I know that both of us have really appreciated working with the branch, so please, I want to pass my thanks on to them. But I want councillors to know how much I value and thank them. We delivered our first $1 billion budget this year. Councillor Kransky stole my thunder with that. So I won't repeat any of it because she's gone through pretty much everything that was in the budget. But once again, we delivered a $1 billion budget in what I would say is another tumultuous year, being in and out of lockdowns with COVID. So congratulations to everyone and thank you so much for everything that you have done to get that budget up this year. It's been a huge year. All right, thank you, Mr Mayor. I will now move that the minutes of the City Governance Committee meeting held on the 1st of December 2021 be confirmed and that the recommendations of the City Governance Committee held on the 1st of December with the exception of 6.3 be adopted.
Okay, we'll hold that for a second because we're going to ask councillors if they wish to speak to any of the agenda items in the report. Councillors, do any other councillors wish to speak? Yeah, Councillor Raven.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you to Councillor Wilcox for the great work she's done as the chair this year. Mr Mayor, I just wanted to speak to two items. I wasn't present in committee for these items. One was the 6.1, the Community Benefit Fund Review. I want to thank the team for the hard work they've done on this and councillors for the support in getting it across the line. The changes to the legislation have made this grant complicated where it used to be simple, and has made it challenging for members of the community to access the funding that councillors can give community groups and others. These changes go a long way towards fixing that, and I look forward to being able to hand out money to deserving community groups next year, or as soon as we've voted on this. That'll be exciting. The other one is 7.1, and I know Mr Strachan isn't here today, but that's the direct hire model of the direct hire model and engagement pilot for apprentices and trainees. This is a great initiative that actually began last term, if you'll recall, Mr Mayor, with an idea around why do we outsource the hiring of apprentices when often they're people who live in our city and contribute directly to the benefit of this organisation. Fantastic to see that the pilot got up, and I'd like to thank my colleagues for the support on that one. It'll be so good to have young apprentices that are Logan based, doing their best to learn their trade and contribute back to this great city. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Raven. Any other councillors wish to speak? No? I hand it back. So Councillor Wilcox has already moved the motion. I parked that. So now I'll ask for a seconder for the motion. Councillor Bradley has seconded the motion. Anyone wish to speak to the motion? No one wishes to speak to the motion. I now put it on the floor to vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That has been carried unanimously. Is there any other councillors wish to record any decisions? I'll have Councillor Stemp first.
Mr Mayor, I'd like it noted I was against 4.4, please.
Thank you. And Councillor Murphy?
Mr Mayor, I'd like it noted that 4.2 I'm against as well, please.
Okay,
Thank
that's
you.
been recorded. Any other councillors? No? Good, thank you. We'll keep moving. Councillors, we have no council reports to consider. We have also no late reports. Do any councillors have a petition to present? I do believe we do have one. Councillor Wilcox?
Apologies, I feel like I'm up and down today with quite a bit to say. I have a petition for disabled toilets for Middle Green, and I'm just going to read through the petition first before I go through the motion. Middle Green Sports Club is a community club that's been located in Greenbank Recreation Reserve since 1973. It was created by then the Shire of Beaudesert Council and then changed with the council amalgamations in 2008 and became an asset of Logan City Council. Since this time, the building has been neglected by Logan City Council and is at the end of its life, and it now is in need of disabled toilets to accommodate the customers and patrons who frequent the restaurant and the club. The lack of disabled toilets and initial design of the building is not user-friendly to disabled persons or those with mobility issues. Patrons would like to see measures installed and the building upgraded to make their lives easier and to avoid embarrassment due to their disabilities or mobility issues. Council needs to take responsibility for their amenities provided in these buildings. I know that my mum is now disabled and I won't take her to this club because I know that she would struggle getting in and out of the current toilets. The residents are asking that disabled toilets are put into the Middle Green building itself, not into the opposite building that houses the Raiders and all of their equipment and everything else. They would like one put into Middle Green. So the motion on the screen, I will let you read it, and I ask for the support of my fellow councillors to get this motion up.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. Councillor Wilcox has moved the motion, so I'll put this matter to the floor to vote.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, you can.
Thanks very much, Mr Mayor. Councillor Wilcox, the petition is for toilets to be installed inside the existing building or outside, or whatever is more cost effective, and what are the impacts if it goes inside in terms of financial costs?
My understanding is if it goes inside the Middle Green building itself, it will trigger a building code of the whole building itself. We're asking that toilets are somehow put in there, so this doesn't trigger it, whether or not it's inside the building, if it can go in there without it, or there is a huge undercover area outside, if we can ask that disabled toilets are put into the outside area there, where people can still use it.
Thanks, that answers my
Councillors,
question.
yeah, I just want to highlight this. When the petitions come up, it's not about whether or not you agree with what's going on. It's a petition given by the public to council, and we're merely accepting the a petition, and then the officers will then determine a report from it. Councillor Bradley.
Can I just ask for clarification? Is this something that could be covered in LIP?
If it triggers a whole building code, no. Then I'm up for millions.
Okay, so outside it will be fine for LIP.
Councillor
I
Hall.
would hope so, yes.
Sorry, Councillor Wilcox, how many people had signed the petition?
That's what I was just getting to. And this is another point that we probably do need to take on board. In total, there were 175 signatures. However, only 58 of them are considered valid with the new e-petitions. Residents did not realise that it would trigger an email that they needed to confirm their actual petition and their actual signing of it. So this is something I've spoken to the girls about, which we're going to investigate further. So there's 175 signatures, but only 58 are technically classed as valid. So that's something that we're looking into as well.
Okay, councillors. As you know, Councillor Wilcox has moved the motion. Because it's a petition, we don't ask for a seconder. I'll put the matter to accept the petition. Please raise your hand. Sorry.
There was a recommendation.
Hang on, folks.
Yeah.
Yep, so it's up on the wall there, on the screen. So it's been moved. I'll put that matter to the vote. All those in favour, please raise your hands.
Do we need a second?
It's only if we're tabling it, we need to move it.
Sorry?
We need a second as well.
I thought we didn't second the petition.
If we're tabling it to the meeting.
Okay, all right, I've just been told we do have to second it. So I'll ask for a seconder on the matter. Councillor Bradley has seconded the motion. Please raise your hand. All those in favour, please raise your hands. That has been carried unanimously, therefore the motion has been carried. No consideration of notified motions to consider, so we'll go to general business. Now we are starting at Division 6 with Councillor Hall.
I yield my time.
Okay, Councillor Fraser.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So all I'd like to do is just wish all the residents of Logan City a very Merry Christmas and a very safe New Year, but in particular the residents of Division 7, so my residents, and yeah, just have a safe Christmas, have an awesome break, and just refresh yourselves, and look forward to working with you all next year. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Fraser. So we'll go to Councillor Hirameyer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I rise today to talk about recent flooding in my electorate and especially in Logan Reserve. Now, one of the main thoroughfares in Logan Reserve is the Logan Reserve Road. And last week, the Logan Reserve Road was flooded and it blocked off multiple residents and their properties. Now, for the fortunate residents that weren't blocked off by that flooding, they had to use different roads to get out of their suburb, and a lot of traffic went on an alternative route of School Road. And I was so proud to see that within a day, Council had an action team out on site managing traffic to make sure that the congestion was under control, but to also make sure that the roads were safe and people got to work and got home safe. And with those people that are travelling in and out of Logan Reserve on those roads, there's more and more cars every single day. Now, I have some statistics in front of me today that's about building approvals in Logan Reserve and Park Ridge. And last year, 1,465 building approvals were issued in Division 8. Now, when we look at the other growing areas in our city, the priority development areas, those two priority development areas combined only had 813 building approvals. So that means that there's substantial growth happening in Park Ridge and Logan Reserve. And Park Ridge and Logan Reserve are the two fastest growing suburbs in our city. And all of these new people moving in contribute to the economic development of our city. They fill jobs, they pay rates, and they join our great community. Now, something I'm looking forward to is being able to see infrastructure being delivered in Park Ridge and Logan Reserve to support these new residents. And I'm so happy every time I'm there when I get to open up a new LIP camera or a new LIP-funded playground. I'm proud to see that social infrastructure going in, but I can't wait to see Council deliver those big projects that will support this population growth. Now, I also stand here today, Mr. Mayor, to talk about quite an exciting development when it comes to electric vehicles and Council. Now, last week in the Planning Committee, Council took quite a brave step when it came to request the Mayor write a letter to a state government minister asking for some information around planning instruments to facilitate the uptake of electric charging facilities. Queensland has fewer than 300 public charging sites for electric cars, and every single day we're seeing more and more electric cars on our streets. We need the infrastructure to support that electric car transition. Now, we've asked the state government for some clarification around the ins and outs of electric vehicle transport and how we can work with private developments to facilitate that transition. In England, the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom just announced a new town planning policy where they condition new developments to install electric charging infrastructure. Now, we're not there yet, but we're taking a step towards that sort of thinking, and I can't wait to see more and more cars on our streets being clean, being green, and being affordable. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Jeremiah. I agree with you. We need to obviously cater for electric vehicles. I'm now in the ownership of an electric vehicle, and it's amazing when you buy an electric vehicle how many you see on the road, how many you notice, and it's growing. So it's just surprising how many service stations are being built because obviously there's not going to be as much need for petrol as there will be for EV substation, recharging stations, I mean. Okay, so we've got Councillor Stem.
Not today, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Wilcox.
Sorry, everyone's going to be getting very sick of me today. But anyway, Councillor Jeremiah just reminded me of the floods recently because he was saying his roads actually worked really well with the crews out on site. Well, unfortunately, again, mine didn't. Again, because I had so many roads flooded, and even the bottom of Division 9, having only one side of Mount Lindsay and Cusack Lane closed, so we had gridlock again in my division, added pressure and congestion on the roads. Admittedly, it only lasted a couple of days, thank goodness, this time round, but the rains have started a lot earlier this season, so I'm not looking forward to the beginning of next year, when probably more rain is predicted. Hopefully, we will have a solution to this very soon. But again, I would just like to wish everyone a Merry Christmas in all of Logan City, and especially Div 11 residents, and apologies to Greenbank State School because they have the 2 graduation ceremonies this morning and I'm not there. I didn't want to truant and wag this and attend that, so I'm glad I'm here. But I will be there on Friday to see their assembly and to farewell the grade 6s. So farewell to everyone that's leaving grade 6 and moving on to high school as well, and Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Wilcox. Councillor Murphy. No? Councillor Bradley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, you may be aware Brisbane City Council, in collaboration with the Department of Transport and Main Roads, announced in late October this year the intention of permanently closing the section of School Road in Rochdale, which is in Brisbane, south of Priestdale Road, to support the delivery of Brisbane Metro Depot. To date, I have represented Division 1 for over 13 years and understand the detrimental impact this will have on residents, particularly in Rochdale South. My community have given feedback via Facebook, and I have reviewed the submissions given in an online petition to Brisbane City Council. There is an overwhelming consensus that the closure of School Road will increase congestion around an area with a number of schools, childcare centres and shopping centres. From caregivers doing the school run, students heading to the university, the many workers who commute to the CBD, or the commuters simply attempting to detour school traffic, School Road is important in getting them where they need to go safely and on time. Doing nothing is not good enough for the residents of Division 1 who will be affected by this decision. I believe my role as a councillor is to advocate on their behalf. I've already met with the adjoining councillor in Brisbane City Council, Councillor Stephen Huang, who will also join me in advocating to the Department of Transport and Main Roads to delay this decision until the completion of Rochdale and Priestdale Road intersection upgrade, which begins construction next year. Mr. Mayor, you know I've advocated for Rochdale and Priestdale Road intersection upgrade even prior to being a councillor in 2008. Therefore, I ask you, Mr. Mayor, to write to the Department of Main Roads Transport and Main Road, to advocate on behalf of the residents of Division 1 and the City of Logan in general to delay the closure of School Road until after the completion of Rochdale and Priestdale Road intersection upgrade. I hope that's okay. I've been asked.
That's not an issue. We can get that done. You don't want to put that up in a recommendation. We can do that anyway.
Thank you very much. Here's hoping fellow councillors can take some time out for the festive season and come back next year refreshed and ready for some robust democratic conversations. For me, Christmas is a time for giving and sharing, loving and forgiving. I wish the City of Logan community, Mr Mayor, councillors, acting CEO, the ELT members and staff a very happy and safe Christmas and New Year. Thank you. See you in 2022.
Thank you, Councillor Bradley. Councillor Lane.
Thanks very much, Mr Mayor. I don't know if you can see this, but I've got a little badge and it's by Barubi, which is a First Nations group. Tonight is the Deadly Mob Awards at Woodridge State High School, and that celebrates and recognises the strength of our First Nations people and families within the Logan cluster of schools. I'll be joined tonight by Councillors Russell and Hall, I believe, and we're going there to actually support this crew in what they're trying to achieve. Our young First Nations students are amazing. They are phenomenal. I've got artwork in my office that I purchased from Maple Park High when I kind of went into Councillor Russell's area, but we won't talk about that. Oh, wait, we did. They're amazing young people. They have guidance from people like Arnie Bron and other Logan elders. And anything that we can do to celebrate our deadly crew, our First Nations young people and what they're trying to achieve locally should be celebrated, and I think we should all support it. The second thing that I want to say is Christmas is a time of great joy. We're all standing here and wishing each other Merry Christmas. But for some in our community, it's not a Merry Christmas. It's a really tough time. And through no fault of their own, through their income earnings or whatever it is, they may be doing life a little bit tough. Now, we've got people in my immediate community who may be in a housing situation where they don't have a mower. And this recent grass, some of their grass levels are up around the 5 feet. I've got a group of community-minded people who are actually going out with their whippersnippers and actually trying to help people in our community. If you can encourage people in your local area to do that, to lend a hand, to ask if someone's okay, to stop and offer someone a lift in the rain. Yes, they could be a serial killer, but they could also be one of the best community members you've ever met. The reality is kindness comes in all shapes and forms, and we need to be kind at Christmas. We need to look out for each other and look after each other, and I think that's really what Logan City Council is all about. We do look after each other and we look out for each other, but we sometimes need reminding that there's those that need a bit of an extra hand.
Thank you, Councillor Lane. Councillor Russell.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. I just would like to take this opportunity to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I'd particularly like to convey my thanks to the community who has been so incredibly supportive of me during this year, which has been a bit of a strange and challenging year. But the community has just been so supportive, so yeah, everybody has just contacted me, given me great, I'm forgetting the word that I'm looking for, but I also just wanted to say thank you to all of council, to all of the officers and to all of my my community of councillors and of course yourself, Mr Mayor. So thank you. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Councillor Russell. Councillor Karansky.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. It's really exciting to finish the year on a high, and this past week I had the great privilege of opening the Logan Village to Yarrabilba Spur Line segment of the rail trail. I've already traversed the completed track twice and I'm delighted to say that there are people on bicycles, scooters and walkers really enjoying the trail. I'd just like to acknowledge the State Government and in particular Linus Power for his generous support of the project under COVID-19 funding. I'd also like to acknowledge the Chair, Council's ED&S department, in particular Ella Duplessis, and the many council officers who went the extra mile to bring this project to life. Not only that, they've done so just in time for Christmas, and who knows, there might be some bicycles under the Christmas tree for children in Yarrabilba and Logan Village. Mr Mayor, I'd like to take this opportunity to wish you, my fellow colleagues, the ED&S team and, all of the ELT team, forgive me, all council staff, residents, all the very best for the festive season. May 2022 be a prosperous year for us all, and thank you for all of your support for me as a councillor in Logan. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kerensky. Councillor Raven.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Last button being done up for the year, and I'd like to begin with an apology. At the start of this year, I said that 2021 surely has to be more boring and less eventful than 2020. So if anyone's had a rough year this year, it's on me, I jinxed it. So I hope that 2022 is hectic, that it's busy, that it's a little bit crazy, and if with a bit of luck, we won't hit that benchmark. I'd like to thank a few people, a few staff in the building. Dave Hanson and your team. The support you provide me as chair and as divisional councillor in all matters is second to none, and I'm truly grateful for everything that you do for us. Please pass on my thanks to David Bradich, Michael Asnikar and Steve Ball for their hard work. The activity that they get out of their teams, the responsiveness that they provide to all councillors, I get nothing but positive feedback. And even when a mistake is made, because yes, sometimes it happens, they're quick to correct it, to apologise, to take responsibility, and then get on with the job. So thank you for you and your team. Dr. Scott Burke, the same to you and your one manager, the second doctor, Dr. Paul Matheson, but also to Kirsten in advocacy and everybody else in ICT that does such good work in securing some truly unique and unusual opportunities for our city. It's amazing effort, and I don't think we've got anyone else in the building who could do what you do. So thank you very much for your effort. To my deputies for their diligence and support, Councillor Russell and Councillor Stemp, especially Councillor Stemp, who attends a great deal of after-hours events when I'm already attending after-hours events for you, Mr. Mayor, generally. And so without her support, we wouldn't be able to engage with the different business groups that are now starting to turn their eye towards wanting to invest in our city from overseas and interstate, which I know is something that you're passionate about, Mr. Mayor. I'd also like to thank you, Mr. Mayor, for your mentoring, your leadership, your wisdom, your patience, because I'm not always easy to work with, and I'd like to extend that gratitude to my councillors, because sometimes I'm tired, I'm a bit feisty, sometimes I'm a bit too demanding, and sometimes I just cross a few lines in order to get things done. I appreciate your forgiveness and patience when I do those things, and I'm grateful for your support, your encouragement, and I just wanted to really thank you for all of the hard work that you've put in as a team this year. You've gone from being relatively new team that's still trying to understand each other to being a cohesive and cooperative team that's achieving great things for this city, and we're going to need to rely on the work that you've done this year to build those relationships next year when we have to do the great deal of heavy lifting when it comes to the planning scheme. There's going to be a lot of workshops, there's going to be a lot of difficult decisions that have to be made in regards to what we want the future of our city to look like, what we want those flooding impacts to look like, and what that's going to mean for our residents. And I know that we're up to the task, and that we're going to put our shoulder to the wheel and get it done, Mr. Mayor. Finally, Merry Christmas to everybody in the City of Logan, especially the residents in Division 5, and a special thanks to the people who give me a wave and a toot when I'm waving on the side of the road every morning. I'll be doing it all the way through to the 24th of December, and councillors, if you want to come and join me, or if you'd like me to come and hang out with you, I've seen lots of shaking heads. They don't want to wake up at 6 in the morning, Mr. Mayor, and do sun waving, but 2,000 smiles a day is a pretty great way to start your morning. I want to thank all of the residents of Division 5 in the city for their kindness and for sharing a bit of Christmas cheer with their families, their friends and their neighbours.
Thank you, Councillor Raven. I just want to finish off with saying that the bigger the challenges, the bigger the opportunities. And when I say that, never be scared of what's going to happen in the future. Because what's happened in the past has really been very small in magnitude of what's happened in previous times. That's because the way you've handled things. I've always thought that the bigger the challenges, the bigger questions that are going around, if we can address them in the mature discussions that we've had this year, we'll get over everything. I've never sat with a more mature lot of councillors who know how to represent their electorate, and that's the important thing. You're not here to represent yourself, you're not here to represent political parties, you're here to represent those people that you look after. And the discussion today clearly demonstrates that you're on top of your job. There's been no side discussion or anything else but doing your job, and that's important. And it's very easy to be mayor when you've got such diligent people running the council I tell you, my job is easy, and I'm just sitting here enjoying it. Can I just say also, the officers have done a wonderful job this year, particularly the acting CEO, and I want to thank you, Silvio, for your support this year. You've done a marvellous job. Of course, the directors, they've done an equally as good a job, and I look forward to working with you all next year. Councillors, have a great break, and officers, please have a great break, because we don't know what's happening next year, and I want to see your batteries recharged and ready to go. And of course, we'll keep working along because we've got a lot of functions to attend in the next few weeks, and I look forward to seeing some happy smiles out there. So well done, councillors, well done, staff. Thank you, and we'll conclude the meeting at 11:20 a.m. Thank you.